Skype. Let's use modern technology. There he is, Ted Nugent. Uncle Ted, how are you, sir?
Hello, happy springtime, Anthony and Dave. God bless you, boys.
God bless you, my friend.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, this is great. Great to have you. I've been following you on various social media, your videos, any interviews where people will actually have you anymore because they don't want to deal with the truth. Everybody wants to sit there and make believe they're either outraged or that things that you do with your life and your lifestyle is a horrible thing. But it is great to have you here and talk to you, Ted. How you been?
I've been so good at stupid in spite of the fucked up world around us. How about you guys?
Same. Absolutely the same. I got to ask you right away because I know you are an enthusiast and a great supporter of our amazing Second Amendment. What are you doing? Are you thinking about anything? If things go a little sideways, you got to be in the perfect position. You know how to feed yourself and a hell of a lot of people. You know how to protect yourself and your loved ones. You got to be looking at this like, hey, I've been prepping for this my whole life.
Yeah, I've been 71 years clean and sober, and I have a ballistic coefficient. I was raised with the aim small, miss small, focus and discipline. And the Nugents have never been short on firepower. I think it's one of the basic things in life, kind of like food, water, medicine, and toilet paper. But more importantly is the tools necessary to protect and secure said survival item. So I'm like the last Boy Scout. I'm a hunter, a fisherman, a trapper. I've been training today with a SWAT team. I've got a bunch of guys that are designing body armor for the U.S. military and the commandos. So I live a real rock and roll ballistic lifestyle. And it's just pragmatism, utilitarianism, self-sufficiency 101. A big duh, no matter whether you have a coronavirus situation or not.
Isn't it amazing that there are so many things available to us to live our lives during a crisis that other people look at as bad and want the government to get in there and help me, please help me. And they have a complete lack of ability to take care of themselves. It seems like the most obvious thing you'd want to do. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. The resources are out there, but they're being painted to be this evil thing. To have the ability to care for yourself without government intervention is an evil thing, Ted.
Anthony, do you have a permit for truth, logic, and common sense? Do you have paperwork for your First Amendment? Because you got a lot of attitude. And is Cuomo allowing you to do this in the environs of New York City? God bless you, son. When you open your mouth, you represent the working hard, playing hard, truth, logic, common sense shit kickers across this country. So I salute you. Yeah, you know, self-sufficiency, rugged individualism, the basic instinct and God-given drive to take care of yourself so you can be in optimum condition to take care of your family and your neighbors. I'm watching during this crisis we're facing right now. You know what I'm watching? A lot of positive, loving, giving, generous, risk-taking, and challenging responsibility out there. Here in Texas, where we live, you know, the land of freedom, here in Texas, you have all different families and organizations, youth groups, a lot of young people that are gathering, survival supplies, basic food, water, medicine, blankets, and firepower. They're literally going door to door and helping the elderly and helping people that might be a little challenged at this time. And I see it going on in my beloved birth state of Michigan. It's going on in New York. It's going on everywhere around the world right now. So we always focus on the positive spirit, the positive American tradition of generosity and caring for your neighbors. And if you're in optimum health and good shape yourself, you are better prepared and capable of taking care of those people around you. And that's what I'm seeing right now. Yeah, you have a lunatic fringe that has all of a sudden decided, we're out of fucking toilet paper. I'm just running toilet paper. But we have lunatic fringe that are scrambling. But I got to tell you, I'm in touch with my kids who live in all different states. New York, my son, Staten Island, he had to shut down this wonderful restaurant in Richmond. And he had to lay off all his employees, and talking about a work ethic and a sense of community service. My daughter in New Jersey, my daughter in Connecticut, my daughter down in Houston, my son in California, my son in Michigan, the entire Nugent clan, my band, my crew, everybody I know is helping their neighbors and they were already prepared, so we don't have to scramble. I have this really radical idea where quality control beats the shit out of damage control. So we're always cocked, locked, and ready to rock the Glock, Doc. I'm like the last fucking Boy Scout.
I love it. I love it, Ted. And it's basic common sense. And what you talk about is so true, and so true of people that would consider themselves conservative Americans, old school patriots. They do get out there and start helping when the situations merit it, and we need people out there to help, instead of, dyeing a strip of your hair pink, getting out there and screaming at people that are actually trying to do something.
Oh, absolutely. And Ted, I'm a big fan of you. I'm from Detroit, so I've seen you at Pine Knob many, many times. What moved you out of Michigan? I'm just curious. Was it the laws, the gun laws?
No, not at all. I have my own gun laws. I have this thing. I don't need any paperwork for my First Amendment.
Yeah.
I have the First Amendment. I don't need any paperwork for my Second Amendment.
Right.
My Second Amendment. That being said, no, I love Michigan. I was born in Detroit, guys. Stop and think how lucky and special my life is, that when I was born in December of 1948, Detroit was known as the arsenal of democracy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Place could you possibly be born after we crushed the evil Japs and Nazis than the arsenal of democracy? I mean, how perfect. The whole world looked to Detroit as it was, truthfully, the work ethic and productivity epicenter of the earth. And I was very proud of that work ethic. So when my wife and I got really, really sick, and our son Rocco in our beautiful home in the swamps of southern Michigan, we were sicker than hell in 2001, 2002, and we didn't know why, because I'm an energized guy, man. I've been clean and sober and eating nothing but, game meat all my life. I'm as healthy as a human being can be at 71. And we were tired and whipped. Long story short, we discovered this Stachybotrys poison black mold in our beautiful home that was featured on MTV Cribs. And we literally had to walk out with the clothes on our back and then get rid of those clothes and get new clothes, because the spores of Stachybotrys mold are there. You can't kill them. So we went through a real life and death health moment in our lives. And the only laboratory, the only clinic that would treat this condition, our immune system was all fucked up, and our white blood cells were eating the red ones, and it was a mess. I mean,
wow.
Approaching death. And the clinic that treated us was in Texas. The Michigan laws, you're right, Dave, the Michigan laws were good, not regarding guns so much. In fact, we spearheaded concealed weapons reform in Michigan and all 50, quite honestly. But the hunting laws, for example, you can let deer eat corn over there, but if you put corn over here, you get fined, you get a ticket. And on your way to your stand, you have to have your bow in a case. And it might sound petty to some people, but great hunting families were being fined and abused with these arbitrary, punitive, and capricious regulations that I fought and fought and fought. But while we're getting treated in Texas and getting healthy, I went, Shemaine, wait a minute. We're homeless. I come to Texas and rock and roll every year. I come to Texas and hunt every year. Let's fucking stay here. There's freedom. I can live the life. And to summarize it, Anthony and Dave, literally without exaggerating, when I get up in the morning in Texas, I do good stuff. I feed the wildlife. I plant food plots. I drive around in my truck with my gun next to me. I shoot coyotes year round. I run trap lines year round and destroy and get rid of the varmints that are destroying the waterways and flooding the driveways. Just simple wildlife management 101. Everything I do, from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed in Texas, everything I do is against the law in Michigan. So
right.
Oh, my God.
I'm fighting for reform, but Michigan is basically a suburb of San Francisco now, with Hillary Clinton as the governor.
Oof,
and, it's really a sad state of affairs. So I love the shit kickers in Michigan. The greatest rock and rollers in the world are in Detroit and in Michigan. That being said, I keep fighting for political upgrade and constitutional upgrade and freedom upgrade in Michigan. But in the meantime, we've lived here in Texas since 2003, and it is a motherfucker. It is so wonderful in Texas. If a beaver floods my driveway in Texas, I shoot the fucking beaver. And then I can hide and give it to my granddaughter for Christmas. That's a beautiful gift. In Michigan, I got to call a specialist. I would like to ask the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, could you introduce me to the man who is more of a beaver specialist than I am? I have to call a government goon beaver specialist. Maybe while he's taking care of my beaver problem, he can show me some good guitar licks on how to eat pussy. He's
Ted, I got to tell you, here in the United Soviet Socialist Republic of New York, it's impossible to even do any of the things you talk about. I have a house. One day I wanted to cut a tree down, a rotting tree that was dropping things. I had to get a permit, an inspector, a tree doctor had to come to the house, stethoscope in ears, seeing how sick the tree was before on my property, because I own my house. What a joke. They wouldn't let me cut my own tree down. What freedoms do you have under these kind of people? Weapons? It's a whole nother thing. In order to even buy a pistol, you have to have a permit. Do you know in New York State, you can't even go into a gun store and say, can I look at that pistol? Let me hold it. Let me feel what it's like. Unless you are a licensed pistol owner in New York State, you can't even look at it. It's like in Spinal Tap when Nigel said, still got the old tagger on it. No, don't touch it. Don't even look at it. It's exactly what's going on in New York. I got to get out of here. Texas is a great option.
Well, Michigan's the Wild West compared to New York, believe me.
Yeah.
So Texas has to be amazing.
Oh, God, I hear great things about Texas.
Well, Dave, I got to tell you, Michigan, there's still the Wild West, rugged individual, entrepreneur, risk-taking, the great American hellraisers in Michigan. Some of the greatest people that you'll ever meet are still in Michigan, still in the Detroit area, as I find in my travels all across America and in Canada. No matter where I go, I'm basically approached by just the greatest people in the history of the human race, because they know that I've always been a hellraiser and a freedom demander, and I challenge all my elected employees, which happen to be every politician, every elected employee around the globe works for me when I show up in London, because I'm hiring people in London, I'm working in London, I'm creating jobs in London, so those punks work for me, and I'm the only guy with the balls to remind them of that. But let me tell you, politics-wise in Michigan, it's a suburb of San Francisco. It's just an absolute heartbreaking embarrassment. Then you got the occasional asshole that says I turned my back on Michigan, when in fact I continue to fight for Michigan. I celebrate every September, October, November, and December in Michigan as the traditional Nugent family hunting season. I do a lot of charity work, and I sell a lot of hunts with me because I'm so much fun. It's stupid. And people pay a lot of money, and it goes to military and children's charities. So I bring them to Michigan to go on these wonderful traditional hunting trips. And when I tell them they have to have their gun in a case on the way to a tree stand, they squint and look at me and go, why? Why? Why can't I move those gazillions of apples that fall from the trees that the deer like? And I'm only here for a couple of days, and I got a soldier who lost both of his legs, and I'd like him to get a deer. The deer need to die. We need to reduce the highway carnage. We need to reduce the agriculture destruction. We need to minimize disease spreading. So you need to harvest the surplus, i.e. kill them and grill them. So when I have a great hero of the military or a terminally ill kid, we host hunts for terminally ill kids, and the deer are eating the apples over there because it's what deer do. But if I move the apples closer so this hunter can get a better shot and kill the deer that we need to kill, that we have the allotted surplus harvest for, we're going to get hundreds of dollars of fines for moving an apple. It's Planet of the fucking Apes, and they
Ted, you've done so much charity work over the course of the years, and we've heard about it. We've heard the controversy about it. Liberals, for some reason, these insane fringe, liberals that we see, they love writing songs. They go to their house and they make a video of themselves and don't really do anything. They're slacktivists. They're hashtag activists. And what you're doing is actually feeding people. I followed you over the course of the years. Homeless people get fed through Ted's hunting. Handicapped children, veterans like you're talking about, through something that's been done in this world since man crawled out of a cave, hunting, getting what they need to survive. And for some reason, one of the most charitable people, Ted Nugent, catches more shit than anyone I've ever seen doing anything.
This year alone, guys, just the critters that I've killed. I've killed so many antelope and bear and deer and all kinds of critters. And I have donated over a ton, just with me and my bow and arrow. Just a little old guitar player, the author of Wango Tango, with his bow and arrow. I've donated over a ton of pure, natural, organic venison to soup kitchens and homeless shelters. And that actually pisses people off. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But again, God created wildlife as a renewable resource. We're supposed to kill them and grill them. I'm the only guitar player in the history of the world that kills his own stage clothes, okay? If that's not conservation, if that's not the wise use, I don't know what is. But let me tell you, if you go to my Facebook, and there are millions and millions of just great, smart, cocky, funny, intelligent, gung-ho sons of bitches on my Facebook, 99% are truth, logic, and common sense, goodwill and decency, positive spirit Americans. And from all over the world, quite honestly. But I value more than all those wonderful people. I value the lunatic fringe freaks that attacked me for murdering Bambi while I'm feeding homeless shelters. It's funny that Richard Pryor's afro catching fire, which was the epitome of comedy. So I know I'm on the right track. Some people said, well, you shouldn't ruffle feathers. I don't ruffle feathers. I fucking pluck them.
It's there's a crazy sub-society in this country that just doesn't understand, first of all, where we came from, what this country was, the pioneers and explorers and amazing people that took a violent and very difficult landscape and turned it into one of the greatest countries in the world in a very short period of time. And then they want to take all of that talent, skill, knowledge, and throw it away and turn into some kind of Vulcan, unemotional or over-emotional people that don't understand where we came from and what made us great.
Boy, is this appropriate right now as we're dealing with this horrible COVID-19 and people are, sheltering down and they're working on their survival skills. Let me tell you who's not scrambling and who's not panicking. The tens of millions of hunting families in this country. Hunting, fishing, and trapping is literally the last perfect environmental beneficial activity that mankind can partake in. We balance their herds. We eliminate the dangers of diseases. We mitigate the agriculture destruction. I said it best on Joe Rogan's podcast, where I set a world's record after I tired him out after 3.5 hours. My son Rocco is a gung-ho vegan. He has a digestive consideration that he is determined that the only thing he can really process and sustain himself with is a hardcore, strict vegan diet. But he also knows the reality. He knows that all the vegans in the world won't reduce the slaughter of pigs, chickens, and cows this week. There's not any reduction in meat procurement because of the vegan population. And by the way, when the animal rights people go to their fundraisers and toast a little glass of wine, are they that stupid? Of course, rhetorical. They're so stupid that they pretend that the vineyard operator didn't kill everything that threatens the grapes that they make wine out of. I know these vineyard operators. They trap, poison, shoot, and stab all living things that fuck with their vineyard. If a turtle comes in, they kill it. If a snake comes in, they shoot it. If there's a fox or a deer or a crow or an eagle, believe me, so-called endangered species, eagles and hawks are not endangered, but any animal that fucks with a grape vineyard is going to get killed so that some lying, brain-dead, uncomfortably dumb animal rights freak can pretend raising money to save Bambi, which happens to be a fucking cartoon. I know what I've done as a hunter and a conservationist. It literally, I got to tell you, and it's not because it's me doing it. There's tens of millions of American families that are still grounded, down to earth, in touch with God's miraculous, renewable creation that feeds, clothes, shelters, medicates us, gives tools, weapons, and more important, the Native American spiritual connection with this gift of life that comes in the form of a deer or a buffalo or an elk, or an antelope, or a duck, or a pheasant, or a grouse, or a woodcock, or a beaver. These living creatures literally sustain mankind. So if you're against hunting, fishing, and trapping, you're against the survival of mankind, which makes you a dirtbag.
A lot of people believe that ecology and conservation comes in the form of signing some treaty with France and other bullshit, when the truth of the matter is Ted Nugent and his lifestyle is more conducive to ecology and using the resources that we're supposed to use the way we're supposed to use them. And he's crucified for actually doing it the way we were always doing it and the way it was meant to be done. My father, I got to tell you a quick story. I'm in New York. I live in New York now, which is terrible. But when I was a kid, I was in my early teens. My father lived out in California, San Juan Capistrano. It was very equestrian at the time. And for my 13th birthday, he bought me a Ruger 1022 pistol. It was an old West-style pistol. I wore it in a holster tied down low on my leg like a gunslinger. I had a Winchester 30-30. Lever action in a scabbard on my horse. And he said, on my 13th birthday, he goes, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Go ride up there, shoot yourself a rabbit, spend the night up in the hills, and come down in the morning and tell me about it. And it was awesome, and it was scary, and it was exciting and adventurous. And when I did shoot that rabbit and skinned it and gutted it and cooked it on an open fire, it tasted like utter shit because I didn't have anything to gussy it up with. I literally took an animal and threw it on a fire. Sure. But I wasn't hungry that night, and I was proud of myself. And it made me feel good that I had accomplished something. I made my dad proud, and I learned something. And this is something you are not getting from this bullshit that every kid has their face buried in. And that's why so many people are having a problem just surviving these days when any little bump in the road comes across their fucking transom. Ted.
Anthony, you don't surprise me at all. I could tell that you had a little bit more wisdom and earthly knowledge than the average rock and roll radio media dude. I could tell that from the beginning. And now I know why. That was literally your baptism into what my wife Shemaine and I and my family, we call the spirit of the wild. We continue the native Aboriginal lifestyle of respecting, not just respecting, but revering those rabbits and the skin that we make our stage clothes and clothing out of, and how the Native Americans literally, their life depended on the annual harvest of buffalo and elk and deer and pronghorn and turkeys and all these wild animals that literally, people are getting back to being organic. Hello! But when you talk about environmentalism and ecology, there's only one source of healthy environment, and that is quality wildlife habitat. All of our quality air, soil, and water can only come from one place. And I hope people are listening to this, and I get a lot of response, and I will after today's show, on my Facebook from people who went, hey, I never knew that. Well, somebody write this down. Your very quality of life will be determined by quality air, soil, and water. Now that defines an environmental conscientiousness and responsibility. Well, that air, soil, and water quality can only come from wildlife habitat. And the hunters, fishermen, and trappers of this nation have invested billions, if not trillions of dollars by taxing ourselves, charging ourselves, sticking to sound science, harvest, sustain, yield policies so that that's why we have more turkeys than ever in recorded history right now. We have more turkeys in America, more deer in America, and more mountain lions, more bear in North America. Ask your buddies in New Jersey. We have more bear, cougar, turkeys, and deer and geese in North America in 2020 than ever in recorded history. And that means that the habitat that supports those wild creatures is the source that we, the hunting, fishing, trapping community, we paid for, that provides quality air, soil, and water for everybody. Now, a lot of people would originally get on my Facebook to attack me and condemn me for being a coward for killing Bambi. And by the way, it doesn't take courage to kill a deer. There's no bravery involved. Maneuvering so you can get close enough with a bow and arrow and stab him. Coach Cheats and Crazy Horse are my heroes. So when I get people who actually listen to me, and luckily I'm able to do a lot of media because I've actually perfected the rare rock and roll maneuver of forming sentences. I'm rare rock and roll can actually form a sentence, and when I form these sentences, the evidence that supports my statement is inescapable unless you scramble dishonestly to escape the evidence, and that is that hunting is perfect. You're doing a Skype with Ted Nugent. By the way, you'll never do an interview with another human being who's planted more trees than I have. My guitar licks are so sexy because of the combination of earth and guts in my fingernails. I have planted tens of thousands of trees with my kids and grandkids and our Ted Nugent Camp for Kids charity. And again, these inner city kids that I work with law enforcement, they come out and we try to get them out of the gangs and off the drugs and the bullshit and the suicide. And literally, you can see these inner city kids who think they're so cool and they don't want to hang out with this white boy Motor City dirtbag. But then when I show them the seedling and put that shovel in the ground, after a little bit of hesitation, they become fascinated and finally get past their, engineered resistance to really good stuff. And they throw that line and they see that bobber hit the water and the bobber moves because a fish is grabbing that worm. I'm telling you, they have expressed to me that planting those trees, doing something beyond the pavement, getting that arrow, that samurai, mystical flight of the arrow to go somewhere close to the bullseye. You can't get a bow and arrow out of the hands of these kids because it's the missing link to an instinctual discipline that is epitomized by the samurai excellence to be in control of your life. And that is the origins of Zen, controlling your arrow with hand-eye spirit coordination. That's the control you need for a quality of a healthy life. And I'm telling you, go to my Facebook right now. Every day people come on and said, you got me off of drugs. You got me off of alcohol. You got me to quit smoking. I got rid of blubber because you kept condemning this insane suicidal diet that so many people have. I got a bow and arrow, and I literally found my inner spirit. These are their words, unsolicited testimonials, where they see Ted Nugent having so much fucking fun. It's coming out of my ass. My band with Jason Hartless from Detroit, the greatest drummer in the world, and Greg Smith, the greatest bass player in the world. When my band is playing Great White Buffalo or Stranglehold or Crat Scratch or Wang Dang, Anthony, your favorite song, Wang Dang, Sweet Poontang.
Of course.
When these songs, they see this old guy, this 70-year-old, last year, 2019, greatest tour of my life. I'm 71 years old. I'm romping and stomping like an escaped animal. And these young people, they're inclined to hate me because I murder Bambi and I'm against the drugs, but they really think they're having a good time in between the spittle. And they watch me and see how much fun I'm having on our Spirit of the Wild show. And I'm telling you, I can't fix everybody. And it's not like I'm fixing anybody. But the spirit of a quality pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, in the way that I have charged forth with it all my life, it's contagious. And if you stop with the drugs and the alcohol and the tobacco and the suicidal garbage, sugary, chemical food, and get a bow and arrow and learn how you can use your gifts from God to put that arrow in the bullseye, you will also be able to put your life in the bullseye. I mean, it's so simple, it's stupid.
Ted, just amazing, man. The common sense, which is like the dodo bird these days. You just barely ever hear about it, never mind see it. It's so refreshing. I've always enjoyed talking to you back in the Opie and Anthony days when you would do our show. I mean, you lay it out there. You're an honest guy. I have just the utmost respect for you, Ted. Thanks so much. The summer tour, is that going to be going on? I mean, hopefully.
I hope so. I pray for America. I pray for the whole world. This is a real clusterfuck we're in right now. So people have to really be sensible. They have to be conscientious, take better care of themselves. And I'll tell you, if ever there was a time to quit smoking and drinking and doing drugs and eating shitty food to be as healthy as you can be, a healthier body is more fortified against these types of viruses. That's not just the guitar player talking. Those are the health and medical experts talking. So, yeah, in fact, I'm drinking. This is some water from Chuck Norris's farm. This is called Live to Give. It's a military charity that is, I guess it's super water because it's from Chuck Norris. But this is the kind of thing that we do. This is a brand new bottled water. It's pure spring water. And these are the kind of activities that we're involved with. We eat wild game. We only eat what we know we handled. We donate to charities. And we have the Ted Nugent Camp for Kids. And I welcome everybody to come on my Facebook because the positive energy and spirit is unlimited. And Anthony, thank you for being a status quo crushing son of a bitch and not being afraid to align yourself with Mr. Controversy Radical here. I salute you for that. You're a brave guy.
I salute you, Ted. Thanks so much for popping in and continued success and health. You're the picture of goddamn health for a person that's in their 20s. I'm astounded. And it's obviously because of your mindset and your lifestyle. All the best to you and your family, Ted.
Thanks. God bless the Motor City, Dave.
Thank you. Yes, hell yeah. Later, man.
There you go. It's fucking awesome, man. Goddamn Ted Nugent.
I never thought I'd talk to Ted Nugent.
Oh, really?
I was starstruck.
That's awesome. I love it. I didn't even put it together like right at the beginning, the Detroit angle.
He's the Motor City madman.
Grew up like he's one of the heroes of the Motor City.
Yes. Like, I have my second album, I have 2 songs named after his. Or 2 tracks named after his music.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so I was taken back there. That's why it's hard for me to get a question out.
It was funny. We just right when we walked in, I had no idea that Ted was going to be on.
No, I was just sitting down.
Oh, Ted Nugent's going to be on.
You're like, Ted Nugent.
He was like, wait, Ted Nugent? It was fucking great.
I'm a huge fan of his music. Yes, that's why I was just curious. I didn't realize that his house got fucked up there either.
Oh, yeah.
I know he's there hunting a lot. That's why I didn't know. But yeah, it's cool that, I never thought I'd talk to Ted Nugent.
That's awesome, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ted, I've talked to him a few times back in the O&A days, and he's always just been, it's Ted. It's fucking Ted. There are people that just fucking despise that man, and I just can't figure it out. I can't figure out why. Everything he does is so in tune with the earth and conservation and ecology at its most base level.
Yeah.
Because he's not standing with liberals clapping over climate change or signing a treaty to save something here or there, then he's a piece of shit. But he's actually doing what ecologists and conservationists have done for thousands of years.
Well, and he makes a point about, which I never even considered, which was, the wine you're drinking, how do you think that, they keep animals out of
never
there?
look further than the tip of their nose.
That's why I always think it's funny, too, when somebody who's trying to be all moral is doing coke in front of me. It's like, how many people do you think were shot before that was rammed up somebody's ass?
Someone's head got
chopped off. They were sent through a tunnel, and you're going to sit here and tell me that you didn't like a word I said?
Right, yeah. I said an offensive word, and someone's head rolled down the street because of what you choose to do right
you're
there.
Snorting what was in a hollowed-out baby. And and I'm the piece of shit.
Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
That's fucking awesome, man. I every time I talk to him, and you see, he just gets me wound up.
Yeah.
Like I feel an energy talking to Ted. It's awesome. He's
I'll
a great
sit
guy.
back and I just wanted to watch you guys. I just had to squeeze in something.
Oh, anytime. Yeah.
I just had to say something to the Motor City.